I'm going to start this post by saying I'm not anti-Pitbull, but I am anti-ignorance. And some of the stuff I'm going to read to you is the example of lots of ignorance. So this particular post says, woman was mauled to death by her own Pitbull on her birthday, ripping off her arm in 20-minute struggle. If you dive a little bit into this story, it actually turns out that it wasn't her Pitbull. It was a dog in her apartment complex. I don't know the details as to who the dog belonged to, but irregardless of the fact, this naturally generates a lot of controversy, generates a lot of confusion, hate, and a lot of ignorance. So we're going to read some of the comments, and I'm going to break down some of these comments and tell you my thoughts on the situation. Naturally, it's horrible, right? Getting bit by anything never feels good. I don't care if it's a cat or if it's a dog, if it's a Chihuahua, if it's a Great Dane, if it's a Pitbull, doesn't matter. Getting bit by anything just doesn't feel right, doesn't feel good. But naturally, when we hear the headline, person got killed or mauled by a Pitbull, it generates a lot of emotion. So let's dive into the comments. One of the comments here, nothing, and I mean nothing, can make me own a Pitbull. I'm not going around one. Y'all can keep screaming, it's the way you train them. That's cool for you, but I opt out. This lady has a prejudice. This lady has definitely decided, I don't want one, I don't even want to be near one. That is her choice, it is her right. Nobody's gonna throw a dog of any kind in her lap if she doesn't want to. But it does show one of the extreme views on pit bulls. And real quick, I'm gonna add this, okay? I've gotten a lot of heat for making a post similar to this, not because of the topic itself, but because of the word pit bull. Okay, so in general, when society says pit bull, they're talking about a large number of bully breeds. They're talking about Staffordshire Terriers, they're talking about American Pit Bull Terriers, they're talking about Pit Bull mixes, they're talking about bullies, they're talking about XL bullies. All of that goes into that category by society's standards. This is a cultural label that society has given to blocky-head dogs. Now, dog trainers, dog people, pit bull lovers, they're very strict about the word pit bull, which I understand, right? They go, pit bull refers to the American Pit Bull Terrier and nothing else. I understand that too. But for the sake of simplicity, okay, when I'm reading these comments and people say pit bull, I can promise you this particular lady does not necessarily mean an American Pit Bull Terrier. I can almost promise you she's talking about Staffordshire Terriers, she's talking about American bullies, because the reality is she probably doesn't know the difference, and neither do most people that are walking around the street and see a blocky head dog. That's just the reality. You don't have to like it, you can hate it, but it's not going to change. All right, so this shows a view of, you know, the pit bull, right, or the bully breed that is very extreme, which is all of them are terrible. This is what this lady is implying. I don't want to be near one because they're probably all like that. Now, I love pit bulls. You know, I've trained probably hundreds of them, and I can tell you that there are bully breeds. And even if I categorize it to the American Pit Bull Terrier, I can tell you that there are some really nice ones and there are some that are not so nice ones, okay? Because it's about temperament. It can also be about genetics. But in general, you can't just grab a breed and go, these are all this way, because they're not, right? But the view, one of the views on the breed or on the category of dog is very extreme, which is they're all terrible. And I know, and I know a lot of you know, that that is not the case. Now, we're gonna go over another extreme view right here. What are people doing to pit bulls? Because mine is just a big baby that is afraid of rain, tornado, and any loud sounds that he wasn't expecting. So this is another extreme view. So you can tell, right, what are people doing to pit bulls? Now, she likely is implying that because her pit bull is so nice and so gentle and such a scaredy cat, that there is no way that pit bulls could do such a thing unless you're doing something to them to provoke that kind of attack. I'm assuming that this is probably what she means. A lot of people feel this way. As I scroll through these comments, okay, this is one of the other views, is that they possibly can't do that unless you do something to them first. This is where these insane pit bull lovers start blaming the victim. They can't possibly comprehend that a pit bull would do such a thing unless it was provoked to do so, unless it wasn't trained right, unless it wasn't raised right. This is also an extreme view, which basically says that there is no way they could possibly do that. Both of these views are very extreme. They're not right, they're very ignorant. Here's what one of the views says. One of the views says, you can't trust any of them, right? They're all terrible, they're all gonna kill somebody, and they're all taking time bombs. That's not true. Now, plenty of them, yes, they can definitely fall in that category. But there are also plenty of other dogs that are like that. There are German Shepherds, and there are also Malinois, which it's a breed that I happen to love. There are Rottweilers that are also taking time bombs that should be very, very supervised around other people, around kids, and that should never be trusted, not based on the breed, but based on the individual, based on the temperament, the character of that particular specimen. Not as a whole, but as an individual. The other view is that they're all great, and of course that's also not true. They're not all great, okay? This is fantasy, to think that, oh, you know, mine sleeps on the couch with my babies can, you know, my children can ride them like little horses, they pull on their ears and they never do anything, so mine are great, so therefore they all are great. That is also incredibly ignorant, because this implies that your dogs, or that pit bulls or bully breeds, they're not dogs, that they're just these little angels, and they're not. Okay, we go back to individual temperament. Some are going to be great, some are not going to be great. Some are going to be incredibly unpredictable and dangerous. And the fact is, most people don't realize that. And the crazy thing is, people inherently know that dogs in general should be approached with some degree of caution, okay? I would say most people in general probably understand that. Like, you don't just see a random dog and go, this dog wants to hug me. You probably just look at him and go, okay, he looks friendly, maybe I can approach it. Or you might go, he doesn't look friendly, maybe I don't want to approach it. I would imagine most people have a degree of critical thinking when they can see that. But somehow, when they see pit bulls, when they see bully breeds, all that critical thinking just goes out the window. And they fall into one of these categories where they go, oh my God, they're dangerous, get out. Or they go, oh my God, it's a pit bull, it loves to be hugged. And this is where you get in trouble. If you're liking this video, make sure you like and subscribe and share it with somebody else that you think might find it helpful. So the moral of the story is, once again, it is not all in how you raise them. It's not how they were trained. And it's not that you did something that provoked those attacks. I have friends, I have people that had this happen to them, okay, more than one person, that they had their bully breed or their pit bull, okay, they're American Pit Bull Terriers, okay, that they lived with them for years, trusted them, loved them, amazing dogs, great dogs. One day they come home and the other dog that lived with them for years exploded, pieces everywhere, that dog literally just one day snapped and ate it, tore it apart, tore it to pieces. That happens, okay? And it can happen with any dog. I've had people tell me about this or similar instances to this, and then they're confused. They tell me, I don't know why that happened. When I tell them, it's because they're dogs, and dogs by nature are unpredictable. Any animal is unpredictable. People are unpredictable. Okay, people are unpredictable. Can you imagine that? People are unpredictable, and I know you probably know that. So if you know that about people, why would you say it doesn't apply to dogs? Right? Dogs, like any animal, can be unpredictable. The more you know about them, the more you understand them, the longer you work with them from a critical thinking perspective, not from a I just love them and that's why I work with them, but from a critical point of view, the more you work with them, the more you learn, and the more you are aware that, yes, this could happen to any breed.